Hi, everybody, and those of you on the East and the West Coast, thank you for joining us this evening. We are in the Kensington kitchen. My name is Brenda Moynihan. I'm the Director of Marketing and Outreach here at the Kensington in White Plains. To my right is Norm Finns. He's our Director of Dining Services here at the Kensington. And here at the Kensington White Plains, we provide assistance to those seniors with physical or cognitive needs. We have two separate areas for those with cognitive impairment. And if you'd like more information about our community, please feel free to call us at 914-390-0080 or go to our website at www.thekensingtonwhiteplains.com. Tonight we present the Kensington's Eat Well, Be Well. This is our first foray into dining services and showing you our wonderful chef and what we can do. We are in the kitchen with teacher and naturopathic physician, Dr. James Rouse.
Hey, everybody. Good evening. Good afternoon on the West Coast. Hi, Norm. Hi, Brenda.
How are you?
Great to see you.
We also have Dr. Annie Fenn, and physician, chef, and founder of Brain Health Kitchen. And of course, again, our executive chef, Norm Finns. So a little tidbit, I just want to let you know, Dr. James Rouse cooked for the Grateful Dead. That's just a little tidbit. We can talk about that later.
Oh, you know what? You had to share that, didn't you, Brenda?
I had to because I love it. So folks, this is an interactive virtual presentation, and we're going to provide you tips and tricks about the power of food, breaking bread together, and preparing the cuisine of consciousness.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! And just a reminder, at the end of the presentation, we're going to put up a slide with contact information for Dr. James, as he likes to be called, and Dr. Annie Fenn, and also the Kensington if you'd like to contact us. So, Dr. James, I am going to ask you to take it away.
Okay, so everyone, number one, thank you. And Norm, Brenda, you two are just amazing. The whole team, Victoria and Chris, Susan. This is going to be so much fun. And this is the beginning of a whole year to come of sharing our passion for food, our passion for community. And as Norm and I and Brenda and Susan love to say, this is a consciousness type of cuisine because we so much believe that Kensington, one of the most important things that we're all about at Kensington is building community for our residents, their families, extended family. And it's really interesting. Norm, you and I talked this a couple of weeks ago when we were preparing the idea for this recipe, that there is actually science now that comes out and says that just coming together over food, even virtually like we are tonight, literally helps to lower stress. It helps to augment our serotonin, which is our happiness hormone. And what's beautiful about tonight's recipe, this is something Norm is a phenomenal chef. He's literally cooked for thousands and thousands of people for decades, even as a young man. And what's amazing is that Norm and I talked about the power of what we love about what it is it's to serve people. And one of the things I want y'all to know about Kensington, we all believe here that we are alive to the degree that we serve. And so this is tonight about serving you, the people who have joined us tonight, to allow us to share our passion for food, consciousness, cuisine that actually helps our mind, our body, our emotions, and our spirit. So really tonight is really for you to say thank you for being a part of our community. And hopefully you're going to leave here and go, oh my goodness, I had no idea that food could be so powerful when it comes to making me feel wonderful, making me feel connected, and making me feel more possible.
And tasty too.
And tasty too. You know, it's funny because tonight's recipe, Norm, I think you and I, we talked a lot about the power of sweet potatoes, which is kind of one of the stars of our recipe tonight. And you had some interesting thoughts about sweet potatoes.
I was first amazed because I really never thought about putting sweet potatoes in a shepherd's pie. And you know, I've been doing this for so long, and the thought never occurred to me. So I was a little disappointed in myself for not thinking of that first. And then, you know, as a diabetic, I really wasn't sure if sweet potatoes was really a great food to serve to the diabetic community. And from your education to me, I found that sweet potatoes is a great food for diabetics. And I thank you for that.
Well, Norm, you know what's interesting is so many people, I think the misnomer, right? When we think sweet, we immediately think of high in sugar, or it's going to be a glycemic nightmare for people who have challenges with blood sugar, like diabetics. But what's really interesting about sweet potatoes, they actually are a low glycemic food, which is really interesting because of the name suggests something completely different. But what's really interesting, everybody, is that sweet potatoes have so much upside when it comes to our mind and our brain health. In fact, they contain a set of different antioxidants and a particular enzyme that literally helps to augment brain and mind health. So what's also cool too, Norm and I talked about this, you can substitute a lot of different things. If you're not a sweet potato fan and you have an affinity for yams, you can do that. Norm's going to walk you through how he built this particular shepherd's pie. But what's really interesting, shepherd's pie goes back over 200 years when the first shepherd's pie was brought together back in Ireland. And it was when people had a ton of leftovers and they didn't know what to do with them. So Norm, I mean, this is really your jam. You kind of go, oh my gosh, how many times do I have things in the kitchen? I go, you know, they're still fresh, they're still usable. What can I do with them? It's a perfect entree into a shepherd's pie made totally customized.
And cooking them in the fall, the aroma in my house when I was making this recipe was incredible. It really brought a smile to my face. There's not a better aroma than a sweet potato that's baking in the oven.
And you know what's really cool about sweet potatoes, and I think for everyone here tonight, when you think about what this recipe stands for, this has so much benefit, but it really brought up for me when we sit down, whether we're sitting down virtually tonight or we're going to be sitting down later on trying the recipes with loved ones or even just for ourselves. I read this really interesting study, Brenda, that you're going to really connect to because over this last summer, you and I did a lot of wonderful work together with Kensington. And there was a study that just came out about the power of grace. When you say grace or you set an intention or you do a silent prayer before you eat, 3 things happen physiologically and emotionally. Number one, you actually find yourself finding physiological balance, meaning that you don't feel like, oh my gosh, I just want to plow down all this food as fast as possible. Studies show that when we say grace, we tend to eat slower. We tend to register satiety quicker, so we don't overeat. And interesting enough, saying grace, they say 3 or 4 hours later, you typically are going to eat into a place where that calmness literally helps to deepen and lengthen the quality of your sleep afterwards. And then the following morning, you wake up and you have more of a motivation to actually go for a walk in the morning, all by simply saying grace. So Norm, when we think about this, and Brenda, you and I talk all summer like, wow, the power of intention, saying grace, saying a quick prayer of gratitude literally sets us up for so many more blessings after the meal.
You're blowing my mind because it's not just the meal and it's not just the nutrients that are good for you and it smells good, but then this piece, I've never heard that before. That's really interesting.
You know, Brenda, I think for people tonight, what we believe at Kensington so deeply is that obviously we're so committed to the quality of life for our residents. We want the extended family and their loved ones to feel that we are looking out and loving on the people they love so much. And Norm, one of the things I've loved about getting to know you is that you are so committed to making sure that they are nourished in ways that make you feel like you're cooking for your family. You are literally, you have that way. You told me that you said, every day when I show up, I think I am cooking for my family, which in itself is grace.
I'm very blessed that I don't go to work every day. It's not work here. It's not work in the kitchen. It's been my passion my whole entire life. I wouldn't trade this for anything else in the world. And especially 20 plus years ago, when I discovered assisted living and nursing homes. I've been in both types of environment, and it's not a job.
I just love you, Norm. I love your heart. I love the way you serve and just the way that you show up. I know Brenda and I, we get a chance. We talked about you when you were in the room, and we just said he is literally just a superhuman being. So thank you for being who you are.
Been a great time working with you also. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Norm. One of the things I think everyone tonight will really enjoy is that, Norm and I and Brenda, when we were scheming on the recipe we wanted to put together, we're like, well, what if it didn't just taste awesome and it wasn't just simple to prepare? What if it had some real scientific benefit? Well, what's beautiful is that the two stars of our recipe tonight, the sweet potatoes and lentils. And one of the studies that recently came out, it talked about the fact that the combination of these two foods actually helped to support something called, here's a great Scrabble word tonight, everybody. It's called microbiome, which is a fancy way of saying your digestive tract and all the bacteria that's in there. And studies show that when we give ourselves prebiotic fiber and soluble fiber and insoluble fiber from these two foods, we literally benefit the microflora in our digestive system. So not only do we have greater digestion and regularity, but at a deeper level, it actually helps to facilitate preventing plaque formation, the amyloid plaques, which are the beginning of Alzheimer's and dementia. So this recipe has a cognitive benefit. It has a mindfulness benefit. It has a memory benefit, along with tasting awesome. So I want everyone to think about this. Oh my goodness, not only is this amazing fall recipe that fills the house with great aroma, there is something happening deep inside of our digestive tract that literally is directly connected with helping protect our mind, protect our brain, and elevate our happiness.
Oh, I did not know that. Right?
Now, we don't want people to go, oh my gosh, I'm eating in reference to my microbiome. That might make, I don't know, everybody steal some of the thunder of the recipe, but Norm, you put this together.
This information.
Oh, it's really kind of cool, isn't it? Because we know more and more that the way that our digestive tract functions is directly impacting the health of our brain, the health of our emotions, the health of our immune system. So the combination of what we're doing right now and thinking about what's going on in the world with the pandemic, so this is benefiting our immune system. We're thinking about what Kensington does so well, better than anyone in the world, and helping to facilitate and support folks who are affected with dementias and Alzheimer's. And this is a beautiful thing for all of us who have relationships. We're thinking, oh my goodness, this runs in my family, or anything I could be doing to help facilitate more and more preventative medicine in the form of food. Hippocrates once said, he said, let medicine be thy food and let food be thy medicine. And this is a perfect entree to what you do, Norm.
Perfect, yeah. And I have to tell you, Norm wouldn't tell you this, but I will tell you this. So here at the Kensington, Norm, if we have a resident that wants a special dish, an unusual dish, he will make it for the resident. I've seen him do that time and time again over the past 10 years, right? He'll do that. So he's a special gentleman.
When I came into the assisted living community 20 years ago, I was a little horrified by what I saw. And I vowed that I was going to change things. And I've changed things.
Yeah.
This is their home. And first and foremost, it's their home. And I want to cook what they would eat at home.
Norm, when you decided this was going to be your life's work, what did it do for you personally? I mean, you're all about service. You're all about taking care of your extended family here at Kensington and White Plains. Tell me on a deeper level what it was for you. What has changed in your life being a part of this?
It's made me appreciate life completely. It made me reevaluate my own life. It's such a joy. Originally I was in hotel and hospitality. I dealt with the rich and the famous, and I went to work. I went to work here. They appreciate everything you do for them. Even the families appreciate everything you do for them. When we don't get a resident, we get an entire family, and they become our family completely. I'm still in contact with so many of our residents that aren't here anymore with their family members. I'm friends on Facebook. They call me, I call them. We text each other. this is a community. It's a family and a community. And I love that. I love that about assisted living. I really came into assisted living for 3 months just to clear my head. I was a block away from the towers when everything happened in catering and banquet. And I just had to get out of New York City, and I accidentally went into an assisted living community. And I called my friends and said, I'm never coming back, goodbye. And I've been here for I've been in assisted living for over 20 years, 10 years with the Kensington, and it feels like yesterday, honestly.
Oh my goodness. I really love what you said, almost like divine orchestration being an accident.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my, by accident, I ended up here, and now this is my life's work, and it fulfills you.
Accident. Just an amazing
accident.
accident.
And a good accident.
And a very good accident, yes.
As we get into the recipe tonight, do you have any tips for folks at home who are thinking, okay, this looks like a lot of ingredients, and what if I want to make some substitutions, or what if I'm not a sweet potato fan? Can I use white potatoes? Share some of your expertise as a chef, because I want people to feel like this is a world-class chef who you have at your disposal to say, here's what you can do, guys, if you want to make it your own.
Brenda and I were even talking about that today, and Brenda had mentioned, instead of keeping it vegetarian with the beans, possibly changing it if you're not a vegetarian, if you want to put in turkey, chopped meat, or even if you want to go with beef. Me personally, I prefer the lentil beans. I'm not great with beef, but the turkey chopped meat is great. I love the sweet potato aspect of it. The next time I make shepherd's pie for my residents, I am making it with the sweet potatoes. I am going to use the turkey chopped meat, which I know they like. I'm going to surprise them with the sweet potatoes, and especially now that I understand the true value of sweet potatoes.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's one of the few foods that has both soluble and insoluble fiber, both in one food. And I think for so many people, as we kind of considered our health and our well-being and facilitating more energy, a lot of us think about digestion, and we're thinking, okay, last time I added so much fiber in my diet, it did just the opposite. I was less regular than I wanted to be. So I want people to realize that this is a fiber-packed meal by design, with the lentils and the sweet potatoes, but don't be afraid to start slow. Have a smaller serving if that's an issue for you. And alongside of that, what's really great is that lentils have all this other side benefit, one of which is really interesting. They have a couple key antioxidants that are associated with health of our eyes. And interesting enough, a study was done that they actually register something that I think you guys are going to love. There was a study that was done on longevity and people who live the longest in any place in the world, and it's the Okinawans. And the staple food of the Okinawans, sweet potatoes and lentils. And they're associated with longevity because they have all this anti-inflammatory benefit. But also what's really cool about lentils, they do something called hara haichi bu, which is Okinawan for don't overfill your stomach. And since they've done research now, Okinawans are wonderfully known for only eating to 80% full in their stomach. And that in turn is associated for helping to lower inflammation systemically, which is one of the primary reasons why they live so long. So this recipe is so packed with so many neat scientific reasons for eating it, but it just tastes so good. You're going to go, oh my gosh, the side effect is the science. It just tastes awesome.
It's fantastic. It really is. It's healthy and it tastes good. What more can you ask for?
Right. I think sometimes Brenda and I, we're known for like being buzzkills. We had this whole summer and people going, oh my gosh, are you guys going to talk about broccoli and kale again? And so when the three of us got together, we said, we got to do something that's going to make them go, oh man, this tastes so amazing. And oh, by the way, it has all this great benefit.
Exactly. And that's what this dish is.
So are we ready to jump into the experience? Because I can't wait to see how Norm puts this together, because this is, again, a world-class chef who's now going to prepare a meal for us. So look out, Martha Stewart. This is Norm in the house.
Listen, I can't wait to taste it.
Beautiful.
Right?
Are we ready to roll? Here we go.
Hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we prepare our sweet shepherd's pie. Here are the ingredients that we're going to need in order to prepare this recipe. We have 6 garnet yams, 1 cup of lentils, 2 cups of low sodium vegetable broth, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 large chopped onion, 2 cloves of minced garlic, 2 large carrots roughly chopped, a half cup of frozen peas, a half a teaspoon of thyme, a quarter teaspoon of sea salt, a quarter teaspoon of black pepper. We have a half cup of low-fat milk, 2 tablespoons of butter, and a pinch of cayenne pepper. In addition, we need a little cooking spray, we need our casserole dish, a saucepan, and a skillet. I hope you enjoy this recipe. I prepared our casserole dish with Pam spray. I also have 2 mixing bowls, one for the lentil bean mixture and one for the yams. We have our onions, garlic, and carrots sauteing in olive oil. We have our lentil beans simmering in vegetable broth. And we have our yams boiling. It's been a half hour now, and the carrot, onion, garlic mixture is ready to come off the flame. After 35 minutes, I was able to remove the onion carrot mixture from the flame. Then I added the peas, the thyme, the salt, and the pepper. The yams and the lentils still need a bit more time. Now that our lentil beans are nice and tender, I've added them to the mixture with the carrots and the onions. I've added the carrot lentil bean mixture to the bottom of the casserole dish. And now that the yams have come off the range, I added the cayenne pepper, the butter, and the milk. I'm going to mash them up and top off the casserole with the mashed yams. Now that our recipe is complete, I'm going to place our sweet shepherd's pie in our preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. Then we're going to give Brenda a taste and see if she approves. This was a great recipe. I enjoyed it.
Oh, I love how Brenda has to be the final voice here.
I love it. So Norm's going to get me a little taste.
Okay.
So Brenda, are you a fan of sweet potatoes, like in your life off camera, and when you're just at home taking care of yourself? You put in these long days, and I think comfort food is something you and I totally connect on. Like, what is comfort food I don't have to feel guilty about?
Right. Everything, because of course I've looked at the recipe. I love everything in this recipe. I like lentils. I like the sweet potatoes. So to put them all together is a good thing. I'm going to taste now. This is going to be my favorite part. Mmm. Oh, it's really good. It's really good. You've got the creaminess of the sweet potatoes. The lentils, if you close your eyes, it's almost meat-like, right? It's got that meaty consistency. And I mean, the fact that the sweet potatoes, I get a little kick of pepper, right?
I purposely used cayenne pepper.
Oh, you get that in the background. There's that little
I went a little bit more than a dash, okay?
No, I like it.
I mean,
subtle.
You know what's really
subtle.
fun? And you can, and people, they go, okay, so sweet potatoes again, really? They're not high in sugar? No, they're low glycemic. But here's something really interesting. When we add a little bit of cinnamon to the sweet potatoes or the yams, we actually further facilitate our body's ability to handle carbohydrates. So if you like to add a little dash of cinnamon to Norm's extra pinch of cayenne, you can totally do that too. What do you think of that, Norm? Is that a good idea as a chef?
I was going to ask you about cinnamon, and then I decided, let me do it without the cinnamon to see, because normally I would eat sweet potatoes with cinnamon. And I just wanted to try it the way it was, but I think cinnamon would be a fantastic addition. to the recipe, for sure.
And all the ingredients blend very well.
They really do.
There's nothing that's shouting, standing out. So you've got that blend. And like I said, that little kick of that pepper, I love it. It's delicious.
And the consistency of the lentils with the peas, it really gives it a meat consistency.
Yeah. It's terrific.
Meat-like consistency.
Yeah, really good. Bravo.
Yeah. Well, okay, so here's the fun part, everybody. What's so good about this, and because this is a family favorite, I think I don't know if I shared this earlier, but I told Norm, and Brenda knows this. So in my history, my wife and I, we met in pre-med, and we actually helped put ourselves through med school running our own restaurant called the Common Sense Cafe in Portland, Oregon. And this was our standard, always on the menu every single night recipe. So this has got a lot of love and history for my wife and I. And what's really great too, now that our kids are out and on to college and out working in the world, this is a great leftover meal. So if you don't, obviously a family of two, which is us at home now, and if you're a smaller family or just living alone, you're going to go, okay, I got a whole pie here. How long is this going to stay? This will stay literally in the refrigerator for a whole week just fine. And you can continually reheat it. And what I found, it actually tastes better the second and third night. Something about all those spices, Norm, that you put in there, they start to steep with the reheating. It even gets better tasting as it goes.
As we were talking about this recipe, I was thinking, could you freeze it? Does it freeze well?
It freezes wonderfully well, Brenda. So this is a really good meal to put back and then bring out again.
I'm going to tell you a secret. I prepared this and I did freeze it because I wanted to try it to see how it would freeze. So yeah, you didn't know that.
He tested it on me. Yes. I'm the guinea pig. Yes.
I'm gonna use this for Thanksgiving. This is gonna be. Yeah. I'm gonna use this as the side dish instead of our traditional.
That's a great idea.
Potatoes. I'm gonna serve this to the residents.
It's a great idea.
I think they'll enjoy it.
Brenda's such a gamer. I love that. Hey, by the way, I froze this before. Brenda, I didn't tell you till afterwards.
I know, right? Brenda, I'm testing this on you. So if you don't like it, you can.
Hey, so I understand that we also, which is really, this is kind of a special surprise, everyone. We have Dr. Annie Fenn, who is a world famous physician, an amazing chef in her own right. And she is going to complement Norm's amazing background with her own little recipe for a healthy dessert that also has a lot of cognitive and brain health benefits. So have you tried this other dessert, Brenda, by any chance?
No, the funny thing is this morning I was thinking about that. I actually was craving it. So I will have to make it soon.
Brenda's going to make it for me.
Yes, I'm going to make it for Norm. But I'm not going to freeze it. No, I'm kidding.
Well, and just to kind of intro what Annie brought for us, Dr. Annie, is that it's a combination. Everyone knows that, fruit is a staple for a healthy diet, but in particular, blueberries are phenomenal for brain health, great antioxidant source. And then when we use any kind of, we talked about a little bit by probiotics and the gut health. Now, when we put beneficial bugs into our digestive system, things like fermented foods and yogurt, so you can actually also, if you wanted to add a little kind of a cream alternative, Norm, you could take a low-fat yogurt and add any spices you want to, and even put a dollop on top of your shepherd's pie. Annie didn't do that with what she's doing, but yogurt is also a great way to boost those probiotics and get those beneficial bugs into your system, which in turn have again been shown to facilitate healthy brain and cognitive function. So do we want to bring Annie out and have her show her recipe?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hi everyone, it's Dr. Annie Fenn. I'm a physician, a chef, and the founder of the Brain Health Kitchen. And I'm really excited to be here with you all today for Brain It On, where we're going to be talking about all the ways you can nourish your brain. So today I thought it'd be really fun to make an easy frozen dessert that you can enjoy all summer long. So I'm going to show you how to make wild blueberry frozen yogurt. It's super easy, I promise. You don't even need an ice cream machine. Here's what you'll need. 3.5 cups of frozen blueberries, 1 cup of plain unsweetened yogurt, a few tablespoons of maple syrup, and just a tiny pinch of salt. Now, you can use any kind of blueberries you want. I'm using wild blueberries from the grocery store, but you could also use regular blueberries, you could use blackberries, you could use berries that you brought home from the farmer's market and that you froze yourself. Now make sure that your yogurt is super cold, right from the fridge, and make sure that it's unsweetened. I'm using a plant-based yogurt because I love cashew milk yogurt. I don't want you to have any yogurts that contain added sugar, because there's going to be plenty of sweetness from the blueberries, number one, and number two, added sugar is just not good for your brain. So what you're going to do is get out a food processor. You could also use a blender, works completely fine. Add your blueberries to it. Add your yogurt. And we're not going to add the maple syrup yet, because you know what? Sometimes blueberries are so sweet that you don't really need to add any sugar at all. So I'm going to have you blend this first and then taste it. And if you still think it needs a tiny bit of additional sweetener, we'll add a little bit of the maple syrup. I'm also going to add a pinch of salt. Not too much, but a little bit of salt can bring up the sweetness of the berries. All right, ready? 30 seconds to wild blueberry frozen yogurt. I'm going to stop and scrape down the bowl a little bit. Oh, it's looking really good. And there you have it. Wild blueberry frozen yogurt. So easy, just a couple ingredients. And everything in this dessert is good for your brain. From the wild blueberries that provide fiber and flavonols, especially anthocyanins, which are super brain healthy phytonutrients, to the yogurt, which is a good source of protein, as well as probiotics that will help you cultivate a healthy gut microbiome, which your brain loves. I really had fun making this with you today, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions about cooking and eating for brain health in the panel discussion. Really good.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. That's wonderful.
So what is so amazing, right? Annie is talking about the microbiome again. So we know how amazing this is. And what I think the secret here is, again, that choosing foods that have a natural sweetness that you don't need to do anything extra with and add sugar or add any other type of sweetener, because they have this natural sweetness. So the yams, the sweet potatoes, the blueberries. And I think, Norm, one of the things that you're always asked as a chef is, it's hard to get my parents to eat, or it's hard to get my kids to eat something that's healthy. You know, don't be afraid to bring in foods that really have this natural sweetness, and we don't have to add the other sweets, because to Annie's point, when we add extra sugar in, added sugar really, really affects our brain health. It gets in the way of facilitating optimum cognition. So anything we can do to allow the natural sweetness to come through our fruits and vegetables, all the better.
And seniors especially, I notice they tend to lean towards the sweeter foods. And if we can stop adding sugar, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
we have a lot of diabetics in the Kensington.
Right, and if you can give them naturally
sweet is a great idea.
And it's got fiber in it, that's even better. Right?
Yes, absolutely. So I think what I'd love to ask is, maybe if people have questions for us, we can, Norm and I and Annie, the whole team, can now answer some questions, because what we really want this to be, we want this to be a community across the whole country that sees Kensington as a resource and a place for inspiration, as well as care for people that they love. But also now you get a chance to lay eyes on Brenda and Norm. You're going, oh my goodness, I can just tell the heart that they have. And I want to be supporting this community. I want this community to be a part of my life. And that's what this Kensington Cuisine, Eat Well, Be Well is all about.
Very true. So I just want to tell everyone that we will send you the recipe, so you will have the ingredients. You can make this yourself, very easy, right, Norm?
Simple.
Right, so we will send a follow-up email to all of the registrants, and you will have the recipe. So no worries, folks. Right now, I'd like to open it up. If you folks have questions for either Dr. James or Norm, and I can see here, one of the questions, could I substitute quinoa for the lentils?
Absolutely. And quinoa, it's funny. It's gained so much favor, and a lot of people see it in the grocery store and go like, quinoa, I thought that was quinoa. It's a funny spelling. I think it's Quinoa. It is actually a seed versus a grain, although it cooks just like a grain. And Norm, I'm not sure, do you have any experience with quinoa? It's a phenomenal nutrient dense seed grain.
I absolutely do not, but I would be willing to try it for sure.
Well, you know what's great? It comes from Peru by nature. It's grown in the Andes foothills, and it's a very, very resilient seed grain, and it has tons and tons of benefits. Everything from phytonutrients, a good source of protein, and it brings, I think, for people who want a little bit more consistency that's grain-like, but also doesn't have the high starchiness, this is a great alternative. So absolutely use your quinoa. And I use quinoa porridge for breakfast. I put a little maple syrup. I added some chia seeds, some flax seeds, and some fresh blueberries. And it serves as a wonderful breakfast porridge.
Ooh.
Sounds good.
I feel like I want to say to everybody, talk amongst yourselves so I can finish my shepherd's pie, but I won't do that. I will continue to ask the questions. I have another question. What is a good meal for constipation?
Well, we not to. Hey, listen. I'm going to go ahead and say something that, I mean, as a doctor, this happens in my life all the time. All my patients under 50, there's lots of questions about all kinds of things, and many questions come up about sex. After 50 and 55 and 60, it goes from sex to pooping. It seems like all of a sudden we're talking about digestion more than we are other things. So let's talk about digestion. The beautiful thing about sweet potatoes, soluble and insoluble fiber, the lentils, another great source of fiber, Annie's great recipe with blueberries, all of this is awesome source of fiber. But I have to really talk about something that is easily forget. Every single one of us needs to think about hydration. So many of us don't drink enough water. And one of the things that precipitates dehydration, age is one of them, yes, because we just don't drink as much water because we don't want to pee. It's inconveniencing us, especially while we're sleeping. But on top of that, when we're feeling stress, when we have a loved one that's going through a tough time, or we're going through a difficult time managing someone else's health, stress dehydrates us. So I think right out of the gate, Brenda and Norm, we just have to remind ourselves to drink water every single day. And then you bring in the higher fiber foods. Quinoa is a great source. The sweet potatoes, the lentils, all of these things are wonderful, but don't underestimate the power of drinking enough water.
And Norm, don't you have a cake that you make for residents?
And one thing we use at the Kensington is lots of prunes. And I do have some residents that weren't crazy about prunes. So my bakery person developed a prune cake, and they are loving it. So besides doing prune Danish and prune cookies, we do a prune cake, and it's a great and healthy for the residents.
Okay, so Norm, what are the odds if you have prune cake for dessert, the following morning you're going to have regularity? Do your odds go up tremendously?
We hope so. Sure.
I love that. Was a very non-committal but very optimistic answer.
Think about it. You're eating cake. You're not thinking about the fiber. You're eating cake. You know, in the back of your mind, maybe you're thinking it's good for you, but you know what?
And there's very little sugar in the cake. Very little sugar.
Right, right. That's great.
Yeah, and in all seriousness, I mean, prunes do have naturally occurring sugar. They're full of fiber. So, and let's go back to something Annie shared and we've been talking about this evening. Please, everyone, think about how your digestive system is literally the house of health, emotionally, physically, cognitively. So much comes down to the health of our digestive system. So having regularity, moving your bowels every day is a giant part of having vitality and just the energy and the zeal you want to have for life. So let us do all that we can to take Norm's encouragement, Brenda's zeal for saying, oh, come on, guys, it's prune cake, for goodness sakes. And what Annie shared with us, these are all wonderful ways that we can incorporate and really augment our digestive health.
And listen, this is what I was just thinking. We could put the frozen blueberry ice cream on top of the prune cake. So it's prune cake a la mode. Okay? You get more fiber.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Norm, I want to, because now we're starting to layer your prune cake with blueberries and yogurt. So, I mean, listen, you're the czar here. You're in charge of whether or not we're breaking ranks with cuisine.
I'm going to send you a picture when I do it for the residents. I'll show you what it looks like. I'm absolutely.
And you know what we might have to do, Brenda? We might have to have Norm go and get some testimonials.
Right. Hey, listen, for the shepherd's pie, I will be the first one. So all the folks that are listening and watching us, I highly recommend that you make this. It is truly delicious. And actually, I have someone who asked a question about fiber. So, you know, we're joking around and everything, but seriously, how much fiber are we supposed to eat a day that I'm not going to feel like I'm running to the bathroom every 5 minutes, but that, as you said, you're doing something good for your digestion?
Well, ideally, it's a really good question, and it is a serious question because fiber has not just cognitive health benefit, digestive health, tremendously important for our heart, managing our blood sugar, all kinds of great benefits to get fiber. So I actually, the patients that I have that are women, I really encourage at least 25 grams a day. And for men, I want them to go for at least 30 plus. And what's really great about this shepherd's pie recipe, Brenda and Norm, one serving between those lentils and the sweet potatoes, that will get you north of 20 grams of fiber with just one serving.
Wow. That's great. So I'm almost got my entire daily serving of fiber in just one serving of the shepherd's pie.
You're right, Brenda. And Norm, you know this. It is an incredibly epidemic situation when it comes to under fibering ourselves in this country. There are studies that say that upwards of more than half of this country, and maybe closer to 70% of us, do not get our daily allotment of fiber. And we look at so many of the chronic diseases we have in the US, and some of them, if not all of them, indirectly or directly have a relationship to not getting enough fiber.
Is it safe to say, I'm going to keep pushing this, if I have the shepherd's pie and then follow it with dessert, the frozen blueberry ice cream, I might be meeting my daily requirement of fiber?
I think it's more than safe to say, Brenda, that you are right where you need to be. And it should be a goal for all of us. And, you know, I like to say, wake up in the morning and don't be afraid to think about, we often think about in business, we say, well, what's the ROI of your business? What about the ROI of your life's business when it comes to return on ingestion? Like when I open the refrigerator door, which here it is over here, here's my refrigerator. Before I open the door, I'm going to go, okay, James, how do you want to feel today? What's the ROI, the return on your intention? I want to feel energy. I want to feel resilient. I want to feel positive. I want to feel like my best self. And before you open the refrigerator door, it could be almost like a prayer or a mantra or an intention. And then you open the door and it's really hard to choose something that's not wonderful for you when you've set that intention for yourself. And oh my goodness, food is so powerful and it should be celebrated. And we should feel like when we put something in our body, and Norm is someone who's served people from all over the world, there's such satisfaction in seeing someone enjoy good food. And when you see them walk away and feel, oh my gosh, I just feel loved and taken care of.
It puts a smile on our face, myself and the entire staff, when we have happy residents leaving our dining room.
True. So I do have another question here. What foods help to boost immunity, especially foods that help to avoid COVID?
Okay, what I would love to suggest is two things to focus on. Vitamin C, absolutely. It's interesting, right? It's almost so ubiquitous. We talk about, oh, the immune system and vitamin C, that we easily forget how powerful it is. So one of my favorite things to do this time of the year, the kiwis. Kiwis are for the size of that fruit, one kiwi over the moon with the amount of vitamin C that delivers. I also would love to give a shout out for broccoli. broccoli is a giant, wonderful source of vitamin C. And another thing that we also want to think about is, what are the foods that actually drive another great antioxidant, something called glutathione, another one called N-acetylcysteine. So these are two antioxidants that are also in things like broccoli and avocados. So I love to say, get your wonderful citrus fruits, have your guacamole. Don't be afraid to use broccoli that plays in both fields, vitamin C and glutathione. And I really believe that our immune system right now, we got to think about how sugar affects our immune system. When we eat refined sugar, it literally downregulates our ability to prevent viruses and bacteria. But if we build our microbiome, like Dr. Annie was talking about, we've talked about with sweet potatoes and lentils, that literally, the lion's share, the vast majority of your entire digestive system is facilitating your immune response. So a healthy digestive system equals a healthy immune system. So when you put good food in your body, digestively speaking, you're going to help to powerfully put forth your primary defense against all kinds of things, viruses and bacteria.
Right. And folks, there's a little secret. Dr. James, tell everybody how many avocados you eat a week.
Okay, so Brenda and I have a running joke about how much we covet our guacamole. So I am a 3 avocado person a day, 3 avocados every single day. And people go, oh my gosh, what about the fat? Are you kidding me? Everybody, it's monounsaturated fat. It has a ton of antioxidants. It is actually something that facilitates metabolism, so it's going to help you burn fat. And one of the most beautiful things about avocados, glutathione has been associated with healthy aging. In fact, when they did a study on people who lived to 100, and they're trying to figure out what was the biggest thing that actually all these people had in common, you're going to love this, Norm. They measured in their blood how much glutathione they had, and they can trace it back to things like avocados. So guacamole is a superfood.
Wow.
I guess I'll be serving lots more.
All of a sudden, we've got guacamole at Kensington White Plains.
No, we've had it, but I didn't realize just how good it would be for the seniors, for sure.
Definitely.
And you know what's so fun about that? It goes back to something that I think one of the things that we are so hopeful here with Kensington's cuisine program, we want people to feel like eating healthy isn't being penalized. We want people to feel like when you put wonderful food that Norm creates every single day for our residents, they all are really getting an opportunity to have their systems blessed with delicious food. Oh, and by the way, it has all this health upside.
True, very true, right? So we have a question here. If you gentlemen can answer, where did the term pie come from in the shepherd's pie?
That I don't know.
Okay, I think my mom must have wrote in for that one because I told her about this. So pie came from the early 1800s when people were watching the magpie bird fly all over the place and grab scraps like a piece of fabric, a stick, a discarded something, and bringing it back to the nest and then kind of putting it together to build this nest with all kinds of different ingredients. That's where pie came from, and that's where shepherd's pie came from. It's all these leftover ingredients put together like the magpie builds a nest. I'm not sure if that's appetizing to share that, but magpies are very resourceful, and they knew how to kind of look at their environment and say, okay, I got to make my house work. Well, this is what chefs do to actually make a shepherd's pie. Look in the refrigerator and go, okay, I got some leftover rice. I got some beans. Oh, I got an old avocado. Oh, there's a sweet potato. I think I'll build a pie.
It works.
It works, right? We have another question. Could you substitute celeriac for the sweet potatoes?
100%. And that is a really cool ingredient. Whoever is asking that question, you are amazing. And that is a super unsung superfood. So you can absolutely use that. And I think what I love about that particular ingredient, it gives, there's actually some research that talks about celeriac to actually help with kidney function and help with blood pressure, because when healthy kidneys are in our, they're happening in our life, that helps to facilitate healthy blood pressure. So that's a wonderful substitution. And Norm uses, used milk. You can substitute nut milk if you want to use almond milk or soy milk or cashew milk. You can do that too. So this can be made fully vegan or kind of plant slant, or to Norm's point, you can add turkey or beef or whatever you want to do. This is wonderfully adoptable or adaptable.
And I know here at the Kensington, because I know Norm, we have folks with specialty diets, vegans, dairy-free. So I know that you can substitute in your recipes on what you're serving the residents,
Sure.
right?
This would work even for a lactose intolerant. I would just use
Right.
lactate milk.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
It's a perfect recipe.
Right. Folks, do you have any other questions that you'd like to ask Dr. James or Norm?
Can I ask a question of Norm?
Okay.
Norm, with all of your experience in the kitchen, when you are home and people say, well, chefs, they cook all week for all these people. When they get home, what does a chef cook for himself or for his family, the people that he loves? Norm, what do you do? What's your go-to?
That's a great question. When I was, during my married days, when I was raising my kids, we did a lot of cocktail foods because Daddy was a caterer and came home and did not feel like cooking. And my ex-wife did not know her way around the kitchen. So we would do crudités, we would do all types of appetizers, and my kids got used to that. At home now, the Italian restaurant knows my voice. The Chinese restaurant down the block knows my voice. The diner knows who I am. If I'm having company, that's another story. Then I'm cooking. If it's just myself and my partner, it's ordering in or something really easy. Grilled cheese, I will say, is probably my go-to food. In the summer, I'll eat a little bit more because I love to barbecue and I'm not messing up the kitchen when I'm barbecuing. I'm not a big meat eater, so I do a lot of cheese items. I do a lot of fish items, but for the most part, it's eating out.
That was so beautifully transparent and authentic. I've loved you since I met you, Norm, but I said I love the Italian restaurant was my voice. The speed dial for the Chinese restaurant is there for me. I love that. I mean, my goodness, you serve people all week long. And I'm sure when you get home, you're like, you know what? What would comfort food do for this guy right here? And oh my gosh, who doesn't love a good grilled cheese sandwich?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I am a comfort food junkie for sure. And I get it. That's the seniors here at the Kensington are the same way. They want simple, they want easy, and they want it to taste good. And that's how my palate is at this point. It really is. It's foods that remind me of childhood I really enjoy.
So I think this is a perfect thing to remind everyone, and this is what I've learned. Okay, so everyone, total transparency. I've known about Kensington for just over a year. I have got the chance to get to really become part of the family. And I say that with all humility and grace and the deepest sense of gratitude. Brenda, you've just taken me in. And I love Kensington. One of the things that I've really come to know, and Norm, getting to know you, we believe that primary food is this. It's family. It's family of choice. It's people who you love and people who love you. That's our primary food. That's what really nourishes us. The secondary food, that's the sweet potatoes. That's the lentils. That's the grilled cheese. What I love about what we're doing tonight, and I hope everyone feels this sense of what primary food is all about. It's people opening their hearts, sharing their love of things that they want to do to help serve people and help people to feel more cared for and more vital. But really, more than anything, Kensington's a community. We are all about making sure everyone feels welcome to a place where we can often feel like it's a hard thing. And of course it has that. But it's people like Norm, it's people like Brenda who bring so much light into what can be a difficult time and do it because this is their primary food. You two are just beautiful human beings who have just found your space of grace because you love to love people. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate you. And I know I speak on behalf of every family that you have served in your time at Kensington. We love you and we so much appreciate how you are just always coming from the heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. James. Folks, it's about that time. And I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. I hope you had a great time. I hope you learned some stuff. I hope that you will make this wonderful recipe. Please remember, you'll get a follow-up email with the recipe. Want to thank Dr. James, of course, Dr. Annie Fenn, and of course, our executive chef, Norm Finns. And we want to thank Victoria and Chris. Back end of the website, I always have to thank my people for helping us, our IT people. And also, I want to thank Susan Evans for helping to bring Eat Well, Be Well to everyone. So thank you all. Please stay tuned, though. We're going to put up an end slide that will include contact information for Dr. James and Annie Fenn, and also the Kensington. So hold on, folks. Thanks so much. Enjoy your evening.
Make the recipe.
Love and blessings.
Delicious.